We know those state lawmakers you elected and then never heard about again. Well, I found some interesting news this past weekend about some of them that I'm going to share with you. Also coming up on today's show, Marsh and Kristi Herman from TV5 News at 8 on Wednesday night will be joining us. That's coming up tonight on Feedback. Welcome to this Wednesday night edition of Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis, and we should note that tonight you're seeing us at 7:30, the normal time you will be able to see us throughout the year. We were on earlier last night due to there was a game being played, but this is our normal time, 7:30. Coming up after us is TV5 News at 8 p.m. But as I was telling you about these state legislators, well, the Tribune Review on Sunday really said it all. The Capitol has dark clouds overhead. It was a very interesting article. They were talking about some lawmakers with some legal problems, and a couple of these have actually happened within the past week or two. Let me just run down these names here. None of them are from this area, but nonetheless they are still in the state legislature affecting decisions that affect you. The first is State Representative Tracy Seifert, a Republican from Erie County. Now, agents seized a generator and a fuel tank believed to be federal surplus equipment on her property. Now, what she was doing with a generator and her fuel tank, no one seems to know. They're still investigating this. But the fuel tank that they had was like 50,000 gallons or something that no woman in Erie County is really going to need. That's the question. Why did she have this? It's believed to be from the federal surplus. The next in the list here is State Representative Frank Gigliotti, a Democrat from Brookline. And they're not really saying why they're investigating him, but it is believed to do with riverboat gambling, because Gigliotti has been the chief sponsor of a bill to legalize riverboat gambling. So that is a possibility why they are looking into him. The next is State Senator William Slocum, a Republican from Warren County, and Slocum was indicted this summer on federal charges of dumping raw sewage and tampering with sewage monitoring equipment. Once again, inside the state of Pennsylvania, that's good news. We want to hear that our representatives are putting raw sewage into our streams. The next is State Representative Frank Serafini, a Republican from Lackawanna County, and a federal jury in August convicted Serafini of lying to a grand jury about campaign contributions. Another good, honest guy. State Senator Majority Leader, underlying that Majority Leader, Joseph Loper, a Republican from Delaware County, and he hired criminal defense lawyers as the FBI investigated his alleged connections to a Philadelphia tax collection firm. Now, he's a majority leader, so he's the head of all this, and he's being investigated now. And finally, State Representative Pat Brown, a Republican from Allentown. He underwent treatment for alcohol abuse after his arrest last May for driving under the influence. So I just thought I'd let you know some of these state lawmakers that not necessarily you, but your cohorts around the state elected into office, and what they're doing when they're not working in the office. This was, as I said, in the Tribune Review on Sunday. Usually I don't agree with the Tribune Review. I was very happy to see this article in there because most of these people were Republicans, and for the Tribune Review to some Republicans was kind of nice to see that they're going both ways on this. They're talking about both sides of the fence. So that's that. I wanted to bring that to your attention. And coming up after the break, we're going to have Marsh and Kristi Herman here from our TV5 News team to talk about the upcoming year. I think I'm going to have to mention that.
Immediate openings available for the most important jobs in America, helping the organizations that help children. Whatever you can do, in whatever time you have, you can make a difference. To learn how you can help in your community, reach us at this web address and number. We're fighting for the children. Whose side are you on?
I didn't mean anything. It's just you're getting so angry. I didn't mean anything.
Enough!
Get up!
I can't.
I'm talking to you. Get up!
I can't.
Stop crying! You're asking for it again!
For information about how you can help stop domestic violence, call us.
Keys. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
The world can seem pretty big, but these kids are learning more about it every day. Because in his spare time, Harry Cooper teaches the children in his neighborhood how to use a computer. And every time he does, he puts the whole world in their hands. Couldn't you do something? No, it's not your money. It's you we want. Come on, pick up that phone.
And we are back. Joining us now, Dave Marsh and Kristi Herman. We pulled you guys away from working at your computers. Like I had to go upstairs and physically pull you away. Because tonight you were on the news tonight, doing the 8 p.m. news here on TV5. So, let's just start talking about you guys. Why are you at TV5? Why are you at Clarion? Let's start with you, Dave.
Well, TV5, I just sort of fell into this last year. I was reading the news for somebody over at our WCUC station, and the station manager heard me, and he said, you know how to read well, so why don't we come on down, and we need someone to stand in for sports tonight. And Kenny Pruitt was sick last year.
Okay.
It was all just good timing. I was in the right place at the right time, and next thing I know, I'm anchoring the news and getting a screen test, and here I am back again for my sophomore season at this. You know.
And you were on Tuesday nights last year,
I was on
right?
Tuesday nights with Kristi Dessort.
And you moved to Wednesdays with Kristi Herman.
Yes.
Now, Kristi Herman, where'd you come from?
I thought it would look good on an application for when I leave this place, and didn't know exactly didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And when I started narrowing it down, it's not what I want to do, but it looks good. And in case I ever need something to fall back on, I'd like to go into advertising for television.
Oh, there you go.
More the marketing aspect, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can do that here too if you
Yeah.
want. I'm sure they'll be glad to.
I'm sure they will be too.
We have that on tape. So, as I said, you are the new team for Wednesday night. You'll be doing our Wednesday night show. What do you think about working with each other? Are you happy? I know you're not going to say you hate each other, but
No, we're looking forward to it. I think she was telling me about the Wednesday night curse earlier tonight when we were working on our stories. She said, last year everything sort of went wrong on Wednesdays. I said, Kristi, don't tell me that.
yeah,
right. Everything ran so smoothly on Tuesdays, and I always felt bad for the Wednesday night crew. But now, hopefully, I can remove the
maybe
jinx,
with the
I
power
just
of
wanted you
Dave.
to be well prepared.
Okay. So be ready for anything.
Exactly.
So script's ready. You're ready to go.
Ready to go.
As soon as
Ready to
you're
go.
done here,
Gotta
you're
get
gonna run
ready.
right over there and do the news tonight. Let me just apologize for something. If you hear me sniffling every once in a while, I still have a cold, and you guys are sniffling a little bit too. I guess in the 10 minutes they've been up here, they've already caught it from me. But I was saying earlier what we're going to talk about. We had this idea. I just overheard you guys talking, and I thought this would be a good topic of conversation. You know, in grade school they always say, "What did you do over the summer? Write us a paper." So, what did you guys do over the summer since you didn't have to come and study and work? Kristi?
I worked at a advertising firm up near Penn State. It's called Greer. And then on the side, I taught horseback riding lessons to little well-off rich girls.
Oh!
Basically, that's
Well,
it. It was a very exclusive camp, and it was a great time, but it gave me something to do for fun in the evenings.
I didn't know you rode horses. That's
I've
pretty
been
neat.
riding since before I could walk.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Can you all do that, Dave?
No.
He's going to try it for the commercial.
Maybe the electronic kind. I don't know.
We'll bring one of those in the studio next time we have you on. But what did you do over the summer?
Well, I did do a little bit of studying this summer. I took classes all summer, each semester, and the last 2 weeks of the summer I went away. I'm in the Navy Reserve, and I'm here in college on a commissioning program. After I leave, I'm going to go back and get commissioned in the military. So they send you away for 2 weeks to stay on top of your game. So I went out to my my old ship, and I got to drive it this time. Because now I'm an officer candidate, which was interesting. And driving around 35 tons, it was interesting. And we got to see a lot of sights, and got a lot of my personal qualifications that I need to get fulfilled before I graduate. And then right after graduation, I go on to candidate school, and it's just all a process right now.
Well, what ship was this that you were on?
It was the USS Gato. It's a strategic missile submarine. It's a fast attack. It's not one of the big ones. It's a smaller one. So we're the ones that chase people down.
Where we? Oh,
So-
where is this at? Where is it located?
Unfortunately, I know this is cliche, but I really can't say.
Okay.
I work in intelligence, and then I could tell you, you know the rest. So
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, you have to kill me.
Right.
We don't want that. That's interesting, though. Now, we were talking a little bit before that. You said you've been to Cancun?
Yes.
When was this?
Oh, spring break, of course.
Oh. What was
Lovely
that
time.
like? I've never been-
Amazing. Just the sun and the people, and just a wonderful time. I'd go back in a second.
Really? And
Oh,
you also said something about the Mexican minute?
Oh, they run on the Mexican minute. It means anywhere from a minute to 10 hours. I mean, so I like that time, actually. I need that to get ready in.
Oh, because, you know, we were making fun of timing here, getting everything done. And they always say, oh, you have to have it done in a New York minute. I've never heard of the
In a
Mexican minute.
Mexican minute.
I
Yes.
love it. So how long were you down there?
Wonderful days.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. Sand, the surf.
Oh, is that the only place you've been on spring break? You've been elsewhere?
I went to Ocean City my freshman year,
Okay.
and that was about it. It doesn't even compare.
Really?
I'd never go back there. It was cold. I don't enjoy the cold weather. Not there. Not at the beach.
Gosh.
No.
Now, once again, we pose the same question, Dave. Can you top that? Or
Well,
no?
not really. This summer, we went to Ocean City, visited some friends who were living down there, and like I said, the rest of the summer was to spend up here taking class and renovating our fraternity house. It was a big project, but we got on it.
Okay. That's cool. What fraternity is that?
It's Sigma Pi.
Okay.
We're the house way out
Right.
outside of campus.
That
so-
everyone passes as you go home to Pittsburgh.
Right.
That's the one that you pass with the pink letter. I mean, no, not pink.
Pink.
I'm sorry.
It's a,
Purple. It's a P
purple.
word.
Yeah, it's the purple letters. They're hard to miss. It's a good
Right.
landmark. We were in the Clarion call last year. He said, "Where in Clarion?"
I
And
remember
it kind of
that.
narrowed it down with the letters on
Right.
the house.
That's true. So now you guys, you're the news team here, but are you guys going to be graduating? Is this your last year here?
Yes.
Yes.
In May, you're both graduating.
May.
Oh, so we're going to have to replace totally the Wednesday night team. I don't know what we're going to do.
Candidates.
That's right, I know. So you're going to be training people, maybe?
Maybe.
That's okay.
Probably.
We want you to be
Imagine.
training
Get some
them.
new people in there.
All right. Well, what we're going to do then is we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I pulled some stories out of the newspaper that I'm going to get their opinions on. Some interesting stories. There's some general topics, but nonetheless they're pretty interesting. We're going to talk to them about that when we come back.
Every week for the past 4 years, Stephanie has read stories to a room full of Savannah, Georgia preschoolers. Every week, the look on the children's faces is priceless. The love that Stephanie feels from every child has made her life a whole lot brighter. Even though Stephanie has never even seen their faces. To see how you can help in your community, call of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something.
On the big highway of life, it's safe for kids. The front seat's not the place to drop out. Don't want that big old bag to pop out. Put that booties in the backseat now. Have that the kids you never meet. I'm here to remind you to put them behind you. Look at here. You stay alive even when I drive.
I'm sure some of you feel funny talking with your parents about things you hear in the schoolyard, things about sex, drugs, alcohol. But if you talk with your parents, maybe you won't feel as odd or be as confused or frightened. Watching TV as a family can help get these tough conversations started. You can talk about what you've seen and what you've heard, and how it makes you feel. Parents want to talk to you. Get things started today. Ask your parents to call for these free guides, Talking with Kids and TV as a Tool.
His father left home today.
I'll be there.
Forever.
Wait and see.
He'll be twice as likely to drop out of high school. 30% more likely to attempt suicide.
'Cause I love you.
Even if you don't live with your kids, your emotional and financial support gives them a better chance.
The best friend you ever had.
All right, and we're back, and as I said, we have some stories to talk about. Let me reintroduce who we have here, though, from our Wednesday night news team here on TV5. They're going to be giving you the news in about 15 minutes, and then I'll join them as well for a top story. but is Dave Marsh and Kristi Herman from TV5 News at 8 p.m. But this has been the controversy for the last few weeks, and I'm just kind of shocked that it's such a big deal. But then talking during the break, maybe it's a bigger deal than I thought. It's about Miss America. Now, Saturday night, Miss Kentucky was crowned the new Miss America. Good for her. I didn't even watch it, so I don't know what was her name now? Heather Renee French. She's a three-parter Nick from Kentucky. First runner-up was Miss Illinois, Jade Smalls, and the second runner-up was actually from Pennsylvania, Miss Pennsylvania, Susan Spafford. Now, the question this year was, last week they came out and said, well, next year they're going to be able to say that you are a divorcee and you could have had an abortion. Now, this would be starting next year. Well, then the national media caught hold of this, and other shows like this, Bigger and Better Than This, caught hold of this, and it was big news. Well, then they went back to the state pageants associations, and they said, no, we're not going to do this, we're going to hold off and think of this again. And in fact, on Saturday night, Marie Osmond, when giving the scholarship money to the new Miss America, was quoted as saying she's going to share it with her ex-husband. So they caught wind of this, obviously. But what do you think about this? That they might drop the 50-year-old ban on divorce and abortion? I want a male and female perspective here.
Well, I'll put my cards right on the table. I think that the fact that there's any gray matter involved in these pageants, to me, it seems silly. I never realized there was such tight controls on a beauty pageant. I mean, just think of the way it's stated. It's a beauty pageant. I mean, they're not trying to mask what it is. Then they're parading beauty on the stage.
Right.
And just the fact that there were these stipulations, whether or not you couldn't have had an abortion, or you can't be a divorcee. I don't see, it's like really that incongruity there of the rules and exactly what they're trying to show off and what they're,
Well, they're saying it's a role model, but that's the goal.
Well, Barbie was a role model also, so.
That's a good point. What do you think?
I also agree. I'm not a big fan of beauty pageants to begin with. I think they demote a lot of women's characteristics. And, I mean, granted, it's the woman's choice to be in there, but to have stipulations on it, such as restrictions on if you're divorced or if you have an abortion, I don't understand where they get their regulations from.
And if you want to be even a stricter, not a role model, more of a reflection, I think that, yeah, sure. I mean, how many women in the country have been divorced, or how many men have been divorced? That's equal amount. So, I mean, I think it's an attempt. You could look at it that way. You could try to spin it positively, saying, well, they're trying to show that Miss America isn't perfect, and they're not trying to make her out that way, that she could have made that choice, the pro-life or pro-choice decision, that she's not, void of any real decision-making. And so that's the only positive thing I can see out of that. But like I said, I don't really see why they need such tight controls on something as a beauty pageant.
Now, Chris, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but like when you were a little girl, was like, oh, Miss America's this great thing, like I want to be Miss America?
When I was little, I was in beauty pageants.
Oh!
I did the whole little pigtails and whatever, little dress and makeup, and when I was about 7, my mom was like, that's it. It's the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and it's not fair to young girls growing up with it. And so Miss America was never something that I liked. The only thing I watched it for was the dancing. And that's probably like 3/4 of the show now.
Yeah, that's what right.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying that, so you were in beauty pageants. Well, what did you think about it when you were in them? Or were you just too young to really
When I was little, I thought it was fun just to get all dressed up and dolled up in the makeup and have a good time and play. And then as I got a little older and started to realize all of little kids backstabbing when you're 7 years old and trying to get out there just for first place, and it's not worth it. I mean, little kids on diets, and I mean, that didn't need to be, and all of the hype that goes into it before you get up there is ridiculous. So.
Exactly. I mean, isn't there enough pressure right now for people, who want to be popular and to look good, and the people dieting at the age of 7? I mean, it's a little bit extreme, I think. And
right.
Just to add to that, now where there's an actual prize on the line. The prize isn't popularity. It's a tiara or a little banner saying, Teen Miss, Umpty Squat County of Pennsylvania. Who knows? I mean, it's a little too excessive, I think.
I think a lot of that came to light with the whole Jean Denet thing, which. You're still constantly hearing something about that, but I know I read a book by Dr. Cyril Weck from Allegheny County about that, and it was just the things that were revealed and what went into these beauty pageants. And I've even seen sitcoms sort of make light of it, but nonetheless, it's like this really goes on with girls that are 7 years old. Now, see, from an insider,
And I saw a trailer over the summer for a movie. I don't know if anybody's seen it yet. It was called Drop Dead Gorgeous.
I did see
and
the
it
trailer.
was all about beauty pageants, and it looked horrible. And just the way they were parodying, and it was a satire.
Right.
But still, I mean, where does this parody come from? I mean, I'm sure most of this actually does happen, but
right.
Some of it's Hollywood, of course. But I mean, they're even making movies about this, and this is Hollywood who glorifies things like this. So who knows what they're trying to say, what the mixed message there about it.
It's why is it that we see Miss America? Why don't we see Mr. America? I mean, is that something that maybe stems back to when this all started 50-some years ago? That it was just that women were just this, that's what they were. They were a showpiece, and a man was supposed to look at me. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, they've tried to say that Miss America pageant isn't about beauty anymore, that it's about talent and brains, but the questions that they ask are absurd. I mean, I can plan my future for America too, and it doesn't have to sound that great. And I mean, the talent portions aren't, I mean, they cut out 3/4 of the stuff that goes into it now, and
That's
basically
true.
it's not even a contest. It's up there, you're dancing around in a little dress, and then you dance around in a bikini, and
Yeah, that's
where's
true.
the
We're not allowed
brains
to do
coming?
that.
Yeah. Where are the brains coming into this contest anymore?
And you were even saying about a Mr. America pageant. Whatever you think about the way, like, there's a Mr. Universe, you know, the bodybuilders, I think that's even worse than most of these beauty pageants, because at least the beauty pageants try to incorporate some type of talent and question-answer period. If you watch Mr. Universe, what do? They're out there in Speedos, oiled down, posing. I mean, that's the majority of it. So I think you can make a good case for that also. I mean, who's watching that? I mean, I can't imagine a bunch of guys sitting around watching a bodybuilding contest. I don't know what the actual audience is, except for bodybuilders. I mean, that's something that they can get tips, and maybe that's who's watching it. I'm not sure, but the way they parade that also on front of the screen, I mean, there's nothing else but physical fitness.
Well, I think Miss America, I don't have the facts and figures, but I do believe that it gets a wide-ranging audience, males and females. And I'm just sort of wondering, maybe going back to the role model thing I asked you before, if Miss America maybe is a role model, and is that a scary thing? And maybe do the Miss America people realize, yes, she is a role model, and that's why we need to say no to abortion and no to divorces, but in the same vein, isn't that sort of what our culture's turning to, accepting that more?
I think in some ways they're trying to say, okay, if you are Miss America, they promote the fact that they're getting college money. And yeah, they're promoting education and they're promoting the other aspects that go along with it, but it doesn't help as a role model for young children. All it really promotes to them is that beauty is what everybody looks at. They're not looking at anything else. And to me, that's just demoting.
Right. Well, I saw an interview within the last month back in Pittsburgh of a Miss Teen USA contestant, and she was just from a local high school. She missed a few weeks of school because of this. They did one interview, they did a phone interview with her. She was on the bus going to rehearsal. She says their rehearsals were 20 hours, maybe 16 hours a day for them to get their dance routines right. They would go through it so many times, and the costumes had to be perfect. And she claimed, now you're telling me different, but she claimed that they were all friends and everybody's so nicey nice. See, I think it's just
that's
a
what they're
lie.
supposed to promote.
I think she protests too much to what they're talking about. But you know, you were talking a few minutes ago about how, you know, as if it's a role model, then yeah, they should set these standards about different things like abortion and divorces. But that seems to be more of a partisan political thing? I mean,
very true.
And if you want to you'd have to categorize it more, because if you want to make it Miss America an absolute thing, then you have to have absolute categories, because you just can't say, well, what if someone is, you know, you have, you know, Catholicism on one end, and then you want to talk about the abortion issue, and someone else is a Protestant and they have different views on it. So what are you going to have? Well, I mean, you'd have to break it down to Miss Catholic USA, Miss Presbyterian, Miss Lutheran USA. It's I think it's ridiculous. Like I said, in a beauty pageant where all they're looking for is, and I know they've tried to gloss it over with the talent, and we've been talking about that ad nauseum, but I don't think there's really any need for something like that, those types of restrictions. I mean, that shouldn't be there, and it shouldn't be made an issue. I mean, for something as, I think, shallow and as up on the surface as this is. So.
Well, you know, we've seen a lot, especially with President Clinton and his, you know, fun he's having, I guess. We've seen a lot talked about a role model. Well, is Bill Clinton a role model? I mean, it's the same thing. The president was always the role model. Well, he sort of changed that, and if you look back to JFK, he was a role model. I mean, I've heard so many stories about, oh, the day JFK was shot, oh, I remember exactly where I was. It's, you know, I remember where I was when Challenger exploded, and I remember where I was when JFK was shot. It's one of those things that you hear about so much, and he was such a role model, and you hear all these stories that he was having extramarital affairs. So why is it now that this has changed, that now we're putting more restrictions on our role models?
Well, I think that comes with partly part of our job in the media. I mean, if you think about it, the relationship between the media and the office of the president back in the days of JFK, and prior to him even, it was more, I mean, the press corps always would travel with the president, and they were friends, and they knew if something wasn't fit, I mean, they respected the office of the president, or just as him as a role model. But nowadays, with the news, I mean, people want that hard-biting, the controversy. They don't want to know how, you know, he helps out on Easter Sundays, or what he does, his philanthropies and altruistic things such as that. But I think that's mainly our fault, probably part of the media, the professional media, that they print these things now that they know could be sort of damning towards the president's office, but they don't. It's really not a candor, or they don't really take much pride in the disclosure anymore. So we're putting restrictions on our role models. We're finding these things out, and through the investigative technology, we're able to go back to people like Kennedy now and talk about Marilyn Monroe and his ties to the Rat Pack and how he got elected. I mean, you know, that ties in with Hoffa and the unions and all this historical perspective. I mean, we have that hindsight. We can look back on anybody and almost look for a scandal. Yeah. You know.
It's just now that it's promoted through the media. I mean, stories are getting paid to be produced. So anybody will go out, and you didn't have that 40 years ago, where somebody sat outside by your trash cans taking pictures of you, and how are you supposed to look up to them? I mean, as a role model, I mean, if we didn't know all of the behind-the-scenes things, except for the big scandal that just happened, he probably would seem like a very decent and well-moral president, where JFK didn't have those. The people, I mean, of course there's always a few little things going on, but it wasn't such a big deal. It wasn't on 50 stations and all over thousands of newspapers, and I mean, that makes a bigger publicity stunt.
We are totally out of time, but that seems to, just one thing to take off of that, I think it's politics has changed too, and that's playing a lot into it. But thank you guys for coming. I'm going to let you run over there because the news is coming up in like 5 minutes. I'll see you over there in a couple minutes with my top story, but thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll be back after this.
Less crime is no accident. Programs like mentoring, job training, counseling, along with after-school activities are keeping away from kids. Look around. That's often in trouble. It takes you and probes at work. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT and we'll send you a free booklet. Call now and help take a bite out of crime.
Where have all the children gone? Long time passing. Where have all the children gone? Long time ago. Where have all the children gone? Gone to graveyards one by one. Oh, when will we ever learn?
Here's my nephew Scruff.
Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Oh, look at this. Uh-oh. It's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies and see lots of games.
Cool.
McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652, and help take a bite out of crime.
I want it. I want it.
It's my birthday. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, I told you, don't be bringing that weak stuff in here. Yeah. Who's the man? Who's the man?
Exercised lately?
Alrighty, thank you for joining us tonight on Feedback. Thanks to Kristi and Dave as well. In just a couple minutes, they'll be over there. I see them getting ready over there. And we will have the news with them. I will be in with my top story. Coming up next week on this show, we don't have it totally booked yet, but we will be talking about the new fall TV season. We're going to be talking about some of the new programs you can see on the networks. That is coming up next week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.